18. He's given time. He wants Jefferson. Climbs away.
Hello and welcome to Moving the Chains. Of course, I am not the fabulous Ashmere. She is not with us this week. I am Jeff Barnes and joined by Steve Rogers and Greg Rector. Joe Cardozo will be along shortly to join us as well. Football Sunday has started already. Guys, how y'all feeling?
Couldn't be better.
The Ravens are putting a beat down on Tennessee. Let's just put it that way. Again, it seems the team that arrives first is going to win. The Tennessee is just not moving the football whatsoever, and that feeds right into Baltimore.
Indeed. We'll touch on that more in a minute. Let's recap Thursday night where Kansas City got the win versus Denver 19-8. Unusual football score, but in the day of the 2-point conversion, what's so unusual about scores anymore, right? So
There you are.
a lot of people thought it was going to be a blowout. It wasn't. It was actually a tighter game than many people thought. I think the only part of it made a little bit off was the fact that Denver couldn't score until late. So once again, how are you guys feeling about that Thursday night matchup?
It went about not exactly as I expected, but the team I expected to win got the W. So I guess there's that. But it did not look at all what I was expecting to see from that game.
I think everybody has to understand that the Kansas City Chiefs are now being built by their defense. I'm sorry. It's just the bottom line is that defensive front is much faster now than they ever used to be. And they've got some really good, young, talented guys in their secondary. Having Nick Bolton back was another key thing for them as well. And just because Kelsey and Mahomes are still there, that doesn't mean that the offense is going to light it up. He's got 2 new tackles. That's what nobody wanted to talk about this fact going into the season, that he has 2 brand new tackles. If you don't have your guys together on an offensive line, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Bottom line. And the tackles, though, do very well in the running game. Oh, my goodness, that means Isaiah Pacheco and not a wide receiver. Oh, it's football, boys and girls. It's not just a run and gun and throw the ball. This is football, and the Kansas City Chiefs are playing football.
Indeed. Well, we were touching on it a little bit earlier. Once again, for those that are watching, I know they're at break right now. Baltimore leading Tennessee overseas right now in the early game, 18-3, another unusual score by many football standards. Like I said, what's unusual anymore in the day of the 2-point conversion? Well, Baltimore is looking better than they did last week right now. I think we could all say that. Last week, we saw a very inconsistent offense. We saw a team that's, in their 2 losses, struggled to put up points. Not so much today. They put up, a pretty solid outing in the first half. 4 and a half to go. They're about to get the ball back now. If you're watching the European games, you see a lot of mixed crowds with jerseys. You're going to see jerseys for teams that aren't out there playing right now. They're just happy to have NFL football right there where they're playing right now. But I think what we're seeing is from Baltimore is finally the defense coming around to where we expect it to be, but this offense finally starting to find the end zone on a consistent basis. Can they do it week after week? That's the question. Finding it once in a game ain't enough in today's NFL.
No.
So we got the boss in the house. Joe, welcome.
Good morning. How you guys doing? Sorry. Ever since Steve Jobs left, Apple's not the same. Golly, man.
I don't think that was by choice.
I don't think so either. Nor was the
never is
decline.
these days.
Nor was the decline in the products that Apple makes either. But we are.
Yeah.
There's a connection and correlation. I wonder.
Bingo.
So-
But continue. I don't want to.
Yeah, so we were just talking briefly about the current game that's on right now with Baltimore leading 18-3 over Tennessee. Before we get into more of the matchups that we had ready to go. Yes. So you got any thoughts about what you're seeing right now?
Just further cements the fact that I'm just blown away that Ryan Tannehill is still a starting quarterback in the NFL. And also, Lamar Jackson, to me at least, looks really good in this new offense. I know that last week he had some plays to fumble. People can discover the fact that they had so many drop passes and just focus on it's Lamar's fault. It's Lamar's fault. It looks good to me, and he's still getting more comfortable with the offense. Looks a lot better in this offense than he ever did under Greg Roman.
So as we get ready to move on to some of my more premier matchups for this week, we'll keep everybody updated on this. Make sure you keep making like and subscribe. Once again, it is going to be an interesting matchup at 4:25 this afternoon. We like to say the heavy hitters a little bit later, but why not go all in on this one? We're talking about two division leaders meeting up. 4-1 Detroit, 3-1 Tampa. Tampa coming off the bye. So this is a real big matchup if you're thinking about the NFC. Guys, how do you feel about this?
Oh, I'll jump right in. I think it's going to be a great game. I think we're going to find out a lot about both teams. I mean, is Tampa Bay just a fifth store? Baker Mayfield kind of resurrecting his career in Tampa, or just a team that people should start taking a little bit more seriously? And I think for Detroit, I started taking the line seriously after the Packers win. I know you probably think I'm crazy because they beat the Chiefs on a ring night on opening week, but I was kind of like, okay, they won that game. That's great. But the way they manhandled the Packers, and then you had a couple of those plays where you thought maybe Green Bay could have another comeback like they did against Atlanta, and then Detroit just shut the door on them. That's when I really found that this was legit. So I think for Detroit, like Jeff talks about all the time and Greg talks about all the time in his articles, if you're a real contending team, these are the kind of you on the opponent and get them show no mercy. So we're going to find out a lot about both teams and both quarterbacks.
100% agree with that. This should be a fireworks matchup. Two top level performing teams to this point of this season. Both division leaders. Whether or not the Buccaneers are for real is kind of the rubber meets the road today. We'll find that out because the Detroit Lions are absolutely for real, and they are my front runner to win the NFC North Division. And I think they're ready to take that next step towards being a playoff contention team. They've done Dan Campbell's done everything right there. They've got the chemistry there. They've got both sides, offense and defense, working cohesively together. They are a complete team right now. Not quite to the level of Philadelphia and the 49ers, but that's the way they're trending. They're trending in that direction, and it looks really good for Detroit, which is something I don't think we've ever said. So Detroit is and the Buccaneers, they might actually be more real than we expect, maybe because of Baker Mayfield's reputation, I guess. But most of that defense is still in place, and they're making waves to make it through their division as well. So this should be a good game to watch, and I think Detroit will get the win, but I think the Buccaneers will put up a better match than we might be expecting.
Greg.
Yeah, I kind of see Tampa actually holding their own against Detroit. I'm not so certain that the Tampa Bay defense is going to be able to stop St. Brown and Williamson. David Montgomery, though, has just been unreal for the Lions out of that backfield. He has just played so well. Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to miss this game, so count that out for your fantasy rosters. But to me, it's the Lions defense. That group is so much better this year than they have been in the past. Bottom line, getting Aiden Hutchinson instead of Jacksonville selecting him was a godsend for the Lions, and they're a real team. I mean, Jared Goff doesn't have to be the Rams' Jared Goff, right? He just doesn't have to be that way. And he doesn't. He doesn't make mistakes. And again, you could say the same thing for Baker Mayfield right now as well for Tampa. He doesn't have to go out there and force anything.
Yep.
And that's the key. I got Detroit winning this one.
Yep.
24-20.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. With the Bucks, their formula for winning is simple, right? We've seen it over the 3 games. Play even, play ahead. They're in their element. They can win those games. However, playing from behind consistently is not to their liking, right? The 3 wins, played even or played ahead, much to the chagrin of Steve. We've seen that with his Vikings, right? They played even for 3 quarters with Minnesota, played ahead for the 4th. They won, right? Everybody else, right? They were ahead for the most part. Then the Eagles game came around. They played from behind, and they trailed the whole game and lost. And it got worse for them. So for them, that's their kind of thing. You have 2 teams that are built very similarly. Tough defensively, coaches that like to run the ball and limit the pass opportunities for their quarterbacks so they can limit mistakes. Well, when those 2 teams are playing against each other that are built similarly, I think the same still comes to hold, right? The one that plays even and plays from ahead at some point will be the one that wins. So I think right now, if you look at these 2 teams, everybody's going to lean towards Detroit, right? Because Detroit's been the one who's been doing this consistently. But both of these teams only have 1 loss. And the only reason Detroit's 4-1 and Tampa's 3-1 is Tampa had the bye. So Tampa coming off a bye, coming into this matchup gives them the extra week. But don't be surprised if the Bucs pull this out, because if they're playing even into the 4th quarter, they have every opportunity to win this game. Detroit, in their dominant wins, was able to hold opponents down and keep them down. But they did to Green Bay. They got on Green Bay and just kept pounding them at the 4th quarter. And at that point, Green Bay couldn't really come back, right? We saw them do it against the Saints. So they came back as the Saints. Well, this coach isn't as dumb as the guy with the Saints is. I'm sorry. People like to rip on Dan Campbell, okay? He can be conservative, yes. He can be, a little aggressive, yes. But one thing he isn't is dumb, okay? When you have a team down, you got to keep them down, and that's his philosophy, right? To fight the kneecaps. We got them down, we're going to keep them down. Well, that's not what happened when the Packers beat the Saints. He made sure it wasn't going to happen to him. He kept New Orleans down. He kept Green Bay down, and they stayed down. So whoever gets ahead in this game late, I think is going to be the one that pulls it out, because they're going to be able to keep the other down. Tampa Bay's defense, very stout against the run, something we didn't see late last year, something we saw during those Super Bowl runs. What they did to get younger has helped this defense. I think what we're looking at is 2 very aggressive defensive teams with offenses that play complementary football. The phrase that every fan hates, complementary football.
I hate it.
Yeah, but it is what it is. That's how these teams are built. And in the end, I think it's going to be the team that's most consistent in the second half that has the lead is going to be the one that pulls it out. So
I can agree with that.
One step further, the team that has the defensive turnover shift might be the one that pulls it out. So whichever defense steps up at a right moment will be the one that gets the victory.
So we got Greg on record going with Detroit, right?
Yep.
What about you two gentlemen?
I'll go Tampa Bay for sure.
Is it in Detroit or Tampa Bay?
In Tampa.
In Tampa.
Yeah.
I'm going to still stick with Detroit.
Steve goes Detroit.
Oh man, we're getting picks on paper now. It's like legal. It's like legal.
Yeah, we got to track them, right? We got to track them. You know.
But I was hoping for a few weeks we'd forget and people would get some wins they shouldn't have gotten. I didn't know we were going to go document now. God, I go Tampa Bay.
We wouldn't pick experts if we didn't track it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. I'll stand by my pick.
Digital doesn't always work.
You're going with Tampa.
So, Joel, thank God we didn't do this on week 3.
Oh yeah.
Well, week one was brutal.
Go back.
Week one was brutal. I'll tell you that right now. Nobody knew anything about anybody week one based on the preseason when nobody played their starters. So we came into week one and like, yeah, they look good. I think I'm gonna go with them. And then you finally play the starters and you go, what just happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was brutal.
I'm gonna go with the team that I cover. I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay in this one. So Joe's not lone wolfing on this. We're actually
there you go. Wow. I was ready.
Right. So another matchup for us. So Colts Jags division matchup. Both of these teams are playing very well. We had the injury to Anthony Richardson, so 10-1 to get in the Gardner Minshew show today versus the Jags. Ooh, a couple of times this season have looked very shaky. Right?
Yeah,
we saw them lose royally to the Texans. They look great overseas, though.
The best team in Europe, Jacksonville Jaguars, man.
Yeah.
6-5.
Yeah. So, what are you guys feeling about this game?
I really have the Colts going in there and doing a number on the Jags because the offensive line is back. You look at Zach Moss, the running that he's been able to do for them. In addition to, when Anthony was healthy, I think the Colts offensive line is going to dominate.
Okay. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Richardson has started to look like he was getting some things figured out and getting the NFL game under his belt there. Unfortunately, that injury, and it sounds like he's going to be looking at surgery, which will be ending his season as well. So it'll be Gardner Minshew the rest of the way for the Colts. But also they have Jonathan Taylor back. So, and he's got his contract. So he's now happy and back. That to me will be a huge factor with that offensive line because Zach and Moss has been doing well, but he is not Jonathan Taylor. So Jonathan Taylor back behind that offensive line creates a very interesting complex, and I don't know if the Jacksonville Jaguars are ready for that, and they'll be the first, I guess, victim of the return of Jonathan Taylor.
Gotcha, Joe.
I just feel like maybe that the European air and being over there for so long, Jacksonville figured some things out. I think that they looked really good in those games. Trevor looked good. Calvin Ridley, we're talking about somebody who was suspended the whole season for gambling. Now, of course, the rules have changed, and that suspension wouldn't be the same. The revenge by this guy's been unbelievable. I mean, he's running every route like it's possibly his last route. So I think Jacksonville definitely got things figured out offensively. And the defense made some plays too. That would seem to be the biggest link to them losing the first couple of games was how bad their defense looked. So I think Jacksonville got things worked out. I've mentioned Minya will travel to Indianapolis. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville in this game.
Okay. I really want to go with the Colts. I think they're playing extremely well. I think they're back to playing some really good defense. Offensively, they're finding a way, even without their quarterback. Shane Steichen has got that offense moving. However, I think I'm going to go with the Jags on this one. And the reason being is I think they're playing very well, like we mentioned. But I think overall, this right now is an early chance to take a fine stranglehold on this division. You go up a game and a half with a win on the Colts. You fight them off, knowing darn well you got to create much separation as possible from them in Tennessee, and of course the team that beat you, the Texans, right? Who are the surprising one of this group. So while the Texans are still totally filling themselves out, you want to create as much separation as possible. This is a very tight division. So I'm going to go with the Jags. I think the Jags have to separate. They will separate themselves today.
Well, Lamar just got picked off.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's 18-6 now.
Yeah.
Right?
Social media is going to blow up now. This one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
to your point about the Jags, I think an X factor to that would be the running game on both sides, because Travis Etienne has been a revelation as well. So, and he's not just a running back; he can catch the ball too. So he's an outlet for Trevor Lawrence, and I have a high value for Travis Etienne.
Loved him coming out of Clemson. It was one of my top backs.
Got to hold on to the ball, though. Got to hold on to the ball. I feel like at the worst possible, there's never a really good moment, obviously. But at the worst possible moment for a turnover, he's always fumbles at the worst possible moment. Got to football.
Ask tight end Oliver that one.
Yeah.
First play of the game.
So we split on these two games so far. Look at that.
I like it.
Split panel. I think the last couple of times we had maybe somebody lone wolfing, but that was about as split as we got the last couple of games. Seahawks, Bengals. Two teams that desperately need this win. Cincinnati needs the win to keep pace with leaders of their division. Meanwhile, the Seahawks have the hottest team in the league in their division, so they need every win they can get in order to keep pace with San Francisco. So, two desperate teams, one ailing star quarterback in this matchup, another one, a veteran who kind of reemerged last year, trying to keep his star bright in Geno Smith. Guys, who do you have in this one? Tell me how you feel about this matchup.
Well,
I'm going to take Seattle. Bottom line.
You're just coming out and saying it, huh?
Yep.
I have no reasons. Greg said I have no facts, but I'm going with Seattle. Heard, I like it.
I'll give you my facts then. Kenneth Walker III, the man who should have won the Heisman Award instead of Bryce Young. Never mind. Yeah, he was much more of a contributor to a Michigan State program than Bryce Young was at Alabama. I'm sorry. That's just the way I look at football. Kenneth Walker III deserved the Heisman Award that year. Then you had young Charbonnet out of that backfield as well as Metcalf and Lockett and Smith and Jigba. And their two young tackles are going to be back. Oh, darn. Yeah. Pete Carroll, he's got himself a defense as well. See, facts.
Yes.
I didn't even know that Kevin was here, but hey.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on the same bandwagon. This is going to be my upset pick of the week, as the Bengals, according to the Pick'em chart, are the favorites in this one. However, I think that the Seattle has all the momentum going, and right now the way they're playing, that the ball's in their court, and they have momentum moving in their direction. The Bengals kind of stopped stumbling and got that win, but I don't think they are still all the way back on the same page yet. I don't think they have they might have gotten the train on the tracks, but they're not rolling down the tracks the way Seattle is. So I got Seattle in the upset. This is my upset pick of the week.
Okay. How about you, Joe?
Oh, well, everybody knows me knows I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan, and I think I saw a lot more than just a couple of flashes of the Joe Burrow of old. Do I think he's 100% back from the calf injury that's been nailing him since training camp? No, I do not. But I think he's a lot better off than he was in week 1. And with that being said, I think this is where the Bengals start to make their run. I think last week was the beginning of them making one of those classic Bengal runs they've been doing under Burrow, where they start off real slow, whether it's the appendicitis or whatever kind of injury he has. And then once they get things rolling, get things clicking, they start going on a run. I think they continue that this week. I go Cincinnati.
When I look at this matchup, I think as long as you can keep Jamar Chase down, you have a chance, right? He exploded last week, and Cincinnati just won.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Seattle can find a way to slow him down. Question is, can they move the ball against Cincinnati's defense? The answer is yes, they can. And I think, Joe, you're going to be lone wolfing on this one because I'm going to go.
No problem.
With
No problem.
So, all right. So that's the first time we've got a lone wolf.
I will give
decisive, because
I will give credit. I got to give credit to Pete Carroll because, a lot of people, unless you're a big-time NFL fan, a lot of casual NFL fans, when you tell them to name some Seahawks, they probably can name Geno Smith. They can probably name DK Calf, and that's it. But him and his coaching staff got these guys to play. When they come out there, they hit you in the mouth, not afraid, whether it's at home, on the road. I just give them credit for a really good coaching job. Still think Cincinnati wins.
Definitely. So we're going to hit a quick commercial. Before we do that, score update. 18-13 now.
Yep.
Oh.
Yes. They are back.
No.
The interception turns into 6. So we got a ball game on overseas. 18-13 right now with Baltimore leading. We talked about that offense looking so great in the first half. Yeah, well, they found the bumbling side the second half. But meanwhile, we're going to go to our second half after we take this break. We'll be back with more Moving the Chains right after this. Stay tuned.
Hey, football fans, we have a great offer for you from one of our newest partners, FanDuel Sportsbook. Sign up now for a new FanDuel account by using our special link located in the description, and you will get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000. That means that you can bet up to $1,000 on your first wager risk-free. FanDuel will give you the amount you wagered back in free bets if you lose. So go ahead and bet on your favorite team this Sunday, and even if they lose, you are taken care of. To claim this special offer, just click the link in the description and create a new account. Then, make your first bet on whatever you like. That's it. Win some money at FanDuel today.
And we are back with more Moving the Chains. Of course, I'm sitting in for Ashmere in the host seat, joined by Joe Cardozo. And, of course, Greg Rector and Steve Rogers are in it. Yes, Steve Rogers, not Captain America Steve Rogers, Captain Minnesota Steve Rogers is in the house today. So we got the game overseas that's gotten a little hot and heavy. It's 18-13. And we're getting ready to move into more of our rapid-fire segment, although we're going to really slow it down to a semi-automatic segment because we got plenty of show left over to dig into these a little bit more. So normally we'd be flying through these picks. Let's take our time a little bit more today. We'll speed up through some of the easy ones that nobody expects that we may look bad for later on. But let's start with Washington, Atlanta. tougher matchup than people look at on paper. I think it's going to be a very exciting game for a lot of people and very personal interest to at least one person on the panel.
Who's that?
I wonder. I just don't know who that could be.
So,
I guess I have to go first then.
Yes, I'm just saying we're going to shift our focus to that particular person. So, Joe, by all means, tell us how you feel about your team versus Atlanta today.
I think this is a tough matchup for the Commanders. You talk about Bijan Robinson being a great running back. Is this the week Atlanta finally starts to use their offensive weapons of Drake London with Kyle Pitts? Washington needs a win. I mean, we're still reeling from the Bears game where we thought we were going to – I thought going in, there was no way that Chicago team playing the way they were playing would have a chance against Washington, and I was proven to be wrong big time. That was a bad loss for Washington. A lot of heat on Ron Rivera, a lot of heat on Jack Del Rio, who last time I checked is still employed with the Washington Commanders. So with all that being said, I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to go Atlanta. I think that if you see what's been happening with teams playing in Washington where guys seem to have breakout games, I would not be shocked if this is the game where Desmond Ridder obviously figures out he has all these weapons, starts tossing the ball around the yard. So I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to go.
You cut out on me. What was the prediction?
Oh, Atlanta.
Okay.
Yep. Hope I'm wrong. I'm gonna
go with it. It kind of faded out. I was like, did he do that on purpose? I didn't hear it. I was waiting to hear it. All right. So okay.
Write it down.
Right. As a friend of mine say, you're going against the family. You never go against the family. You're going against the family. So okay.
I hope I'm wrong.
Does Desmond Ridder lose a game at home finally? Oh, yeah. The guy's never lost a home game in his life. Which is high school, college, and with the Falcons so far, right? So the Falcons are at home. But I'm going to say that the Commanders actually take this one.
Defense.
Are you shocked, Joe? Are you shocked?
No, not. Unlike me, you seem to have an unbiased opinion.
and
I never give Dallas credit for anything, but you have no problem once in a blue moon giving Washington credit. You're more emotionally mature than I am, Greg.
Well, yeah, I also experienced the real Washington versus Dallas thing a lot more than you did. So, but Ron Rivera desperately needs the win. And it's not the Chicago game. It's not the Chicago game that pisses people off. It was the damn tying up the Philadelphia game where Rivera's in trouble.
Yeah.
He should have gone for those 2 points. He should have gone for the 2 points, and he didn't do it. That's Riverboat Ron, right? But no, I think Washington actually gets the victory.
All right, Steve.
I actually had kind of struggled figuring this one out earlier this week as well. Falcons are favored. They are at home, and they do have plenty of offensive weapons. It's really been interesting and fun to watch Bijan Robinson continue to make Madden-like plays in real time. And then now the new overhead camera angle that they're using, it's really making it look like a video game out there. I think Washington is better than the game they had against Chicago, obviously. And this game will be a battle regardless. I don't think it will be a gimme game for either team. That will be earned, whoever does win. But I am giving the edge to the Falcons at home. But I want to see the Commanders win.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Desmond Ridder has been amazing at home. His team has been better at home. Do you trust him against a team that can score, that can play some defense, that can harass the quarterback like Washington does? No, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I don't trust a head coach, right, who has 3 stud players on offense and can't figure out how to get them all involved. Okay, how you can't match up?
So ridiculous.
It's a matchup nightmare. all over the field is a problem. How you can't find ways to get Drake London consistently involved is a problem. That you can do it with the running backs, but you can't do it with the receiver and the tight end who are mismatches. You put those guys in another offensive system, and this team is undefeated. Okay? So I think you got to really look at Arthur Smith and say, does he match up against some better coaching? Now, I think it's not a huge thing to say that Ron Rivera is a better coach because they're not that far apart in coaching the way they are. But Ron Rivera has at least led his team to a Super Bowl at one point. So I'm going to go with Washington on the road.
Yep.
And heaven forbid they make me look stupid like some teams tend to do from week to week when I got them my picks rolling. And that one team I look at the score and go, really? All right. So Commanders, I'm counting on you to make me look good in this one because honestly, you should look better than this team on the road or at home or on the moon because this guy don't use his pieces. If you can't beat them with the defense that you have, with Forbes on corner, with the pass rushers that you have, with the solid linebackers that you have, if you can't beat Atlanta, home, away, wherever, then you're making me look real bad, and I ain't got no sympathy for you if you lose this one.
Washington's doing a better job of using Terry McLaurin than Atlanta's using Drake London.
And that tells you something, right? They know who that stud is. You got to find a way to get him to rock, right?
Yeah,
Listen,
Atlanta
they got to get Curtis Samuel more involved, though. They have to get Curtis
that's looking
Samuel
like a waste of a trade. Yeah,
that was a waste of a trade for sure. It's funny. At least once a game, I have to be reminded he plays for Washington. He'll get a reverse and get like 7 yards. I'm like, oh yeah, because he was always either hurt or not or underutilized.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a couple more of these matchups to focus on before we get into the real rapid fire, where we're just going to blow through picks. Because some of these games, they're rapid fire. Okay, they're pretty much. I guarantee we're going to be consensus on some of these games. All right, so let's talk a little more about those amazing Texans, right? The Texans playing very well. They get to play the New Orleans Saints, who was supposed to be the division leader in the South, but they can't seem to beat people when they got them down. And they definitely can't seem to beat the Buccaneers, who they lost 2-3 times in a row. But anyway, getting back into it. All right. They got Houston, a tough out. Tell me how you guys feel about this matchup.
CJ Stroud's in for a test because the Saints defense has, like I said, all year long, they have been turning the ball over again.
Yeah.
And when the Saints defense plays that way, they are a real tough out. I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care who's catching the football or whatever for New Orleans. If the Saints end up with short fields all day long, they're going to beat you. However, Nico Collins and those boys have been outstanding. CJ Stroud doesn't cost them anything. They're at home. I got the Texans beating the Saints.
Oh, that was going to be my question. I couldn't remember if they were on the road. I'll jump in and go next. I go Houston. I think this is a really good, to Greg's point, I think this is a great test to find out how far we are along or how far we have to go on the rebuild. By no means am I saying the Houston Texans are going to the playoffs, but you can tell that the culture has changed a lot under DeMarco Ryans. So I think a game like this against a defense that has a great pass rush that can really harass your quarterback, what does Houston do? Is it the same old Texans where we have those memories of David Carr and his head bashed in over and over again? Or do you get the ball to your playmakers? Does your defense step up and make some plays? Because, remember, Derek Carr is not 100% either. We're not talking a lot about that shoulder injury, but I'm sure it's still lingering. And the Houston defense has played pretty good ball so far this season. So with them being at home, the momentum they have, I'm going to go with the Houston Texans.
This is another reason why Dennis Allen should not be a head coach. Derek Carr should not be on the field. I'm sorry. It should be Jameis Winston, bottom line.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So Carr just has a lesser version of the injury that Anthony Richardson has, right? That's probably going to cost Richardson a season.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're still throwing him out there.
Yep.
Good point, Greg.
A la Baker Mayfield 2 years ago in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Steve, how do you feel about this, sir?
Well, I was thinking that I was going to go with the Saints, but after this panel of conversation, I think I have flipped my coin, and I'm going to also go with Houston.
Gotcha. See, the New Orleans Saints, I was on that bandwagon. This was going to be an NFC South leader, in the preseason.
Yep.
I was on the bandwagon that when Kamara came back, their offense would be more explosive because they got those two receivers on the outside. And we'd see the Saints offense start to become the animal that a lot of people thought it was a couple of years ago. Then Dennis Allen showed me that he's still Dennis Allen. Then, Carmichael showed me that he's still Carmichael.
Yep.
The offensive explosiveness was only evident against New England, which we'll get into New England later. All right.
Foreshadowing.
I watched this team. I am not impressed. I am impressed by Houston. I don't trust what I see in New Orleans. I know the defense is still quality. I am not in anywhere near trusting. I don't think they use Chris Olave enough. I don't think Michael Thomas is the same player. He hasn't shown up ever since he came back from the injury. It's been mediocre stats. They had no explosive plays versus Tampa Bay. They had no offense past 10 yards versus Tampa Bay. That was the indictment of this offense. So regardless of the New England showing, I see you reverting back to that, playing Houston, who's a very good defense. So I'm going to take the team that could actually push the football down the field in the Houston Texans, and not the team that's going to sputter along in the New Orleans Saints.
Is that a clean sweep? First one of the show?
Yes, the first one of the show.
Check.
Yeah, so we're going through in tough.
I like it.
We've been pretty split on, except with this one.
And like Greg said too, I don't wish injury on anybody, but if Carr gets hurt and ends up being a long injury, man, more eyes on Dennis Allen again.
Oh, it's going to look real bad down there in New Orleans.
And the disappointing part is Jameis Winston's not a bad quarterback. So if you have to rely on Jameis Winston, you don't lose anything that you have with Derek Carr. They're the same quarterback. Both of them are going to be in the pocket.
Jameis Winston's a better backup than Gunnar Minshew. So
yeah. Both of them have to be in a pocket. Both of them have to have protection. Both of them can throw the ball down the field. Both of them want to throw the ball down the field. So I don't understand if you're going to put them out there limited when you have a healthy backup that could do everything that you need him to do, unless it's a morale thing that you think he can't rally the troops, which he seemed to do when he was starting for them last year.
Yeah.
I don't know what the problem is.
And I would say athletically, just in general, Winston has the advantage over Carr. I mean, scrambling, getting away from things, it goes to Winston as well. So
yeah, I mean, with Jameis, you just know he's going to give away the ball at least once or twice. Just got to hope it's early in the game and not a critical point. You know it's going to happen. He's going to try to get no wind that only he can see.
But when he was not doing that last year when he started for New Orleans. He was a different quarterback than that 30-30 season that he was in Tampa Bay.
Yep.
He was a different guy. It was the fact that the defense didn't turn the ball over last year at all for New Orleans that cost them. It wasn't Jameis.
And the 30-30 season wasn't all on Jameis. A lot of people like to put it all on Jameis, but the guys were dropping the balls right in the DB's hands. I don't always put that on the quarterback. It's not always a ball placement issue thing. When you got a Pro Bowl wide receiver, you got a tight end that was drafted in the first round, dropping balls in the DB's hands. But it's not always on your quarterback. But when Jameis Winston got hurt last year, they had no problem pulling him out the lineup and sitting him. Now you got a guy that's hurt, and you're doing everything to keep him in the lineup to keep Jameis Winston off.
That's Dennis Allen. That is Dennis Allen.
That's perplexing because it's the same head coach.
Bad coaching.
It's the same head coach. Totally different trains of thought 2 years in a row, right? Last year your starter got hurt and you kept him off the field, did everything to keep him off the field, despite the fact that Andy Dalton was playing for you. I don't know how you could have kept him off the field with Andy Dalton starting for you. But then you turn around this year and it's the exact opposite. Well, I'm going to keep you out there whether you're falling apart, Derek Carr. when you have the ability to sit him at least a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, try and get a little bit healthier with Jameis starting. I don't get the sudden roundabout.
Especially when your backup is almost a no drop off.
Yeah. Good point, Steve.
So I just think that maybe there's an issue with the guy that you're trying to keep off the field. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe you.
But that issue would be between the coach and that person themselves. It's not actually the organization. I'm pretty sure the organization has no issue putting Winston out there. Same thing the head coach does.
I agree. And somebody, listen, you don't like every play of your coach, but you know what? You let him play when you need him to win, right? So they got nothing to do with it. It ain't got nothing to do with it if you like the guy. That you got to let him play when you need him to win. All right, so we're going to move on from that clean sweep. And we're going to move on to now our last focus matchup before we start to get a little to a rapid fire. Monday night.
A quick update, Jeff. It's 1st and goal, Baltimore. Lamar Jackson just did like an Allen Iverson crossover on two linebackers to get a first down.
Yes, I saw they went to commercial. I knew they were driving, but I'm glad you got that update in. So Monday night, Cowboys at Chargers at SoFi. Dallas coming off the embarrassment from the 49ers. The Chargers, well, they're the Chargers.
They're the Chargers.
Okay. I mean, come on.
That's so mean.
We added a new coordinator. And you're getting the same thing, right? You're getting, questionable decisions in games. You're losing games that you should be winning. What changed other than the coordinator? Nothing. It's the same Chargers as you've seen the past 2 years. So Dallas beat them the last time these two teams met, by the way, at SoFi. They're playing at SoFi. Dallas coming off the loss, little extra motivation after
but I'll bring up the bad news. When you lose to the 49ers, there's only been one team in the last 20 losses after losing to the 49ers. Only one team has won their game the next week.
Wow, really?
You know who that was?
Who was?
It was the Rams.
Yeah.
Who ended up going out to Indy and winning, right?
Yep.
That is the only team who has won a game after being pounded by the Niners. And I'm sorry, but the Chargers are going to be healthy. Derwin James will be playing. Austin Eckler's back.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen is still there. Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston is going to have his breakout game against the Dallas Cowboys, folks. I'm sorry. I'm the Cowboys guy, but I don't buy them. I am so angry. I am so angry with Mike McCarthy right now and Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, for you to go out and say what you said after that pounding was the
I'm just going to pencil your pick in already.
Oh, yeah. You can put me in for the Chargers. 34-27 is what I wrote. And I'm sticking to it. I am angry to no end with ridiculous coaching decisions, ridiculous statements by these Cowboy players, and, of course, the owner, who was yet again on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas going, Dak Prescott's going to take us to a Super Bowl. Oh, my God. No.
See,
so he saved all his pick. I like it.
Y'all are hearing what's been going on all week in Dallas. Okay, so what you're hearing from Greg is what you've been hearing all week on sports radio in Dallas since that Sunday night loss. A lot of frustration, not a lot of sunshine and rainbows. It is just frustration. So, and that comes with a butt whipping that they took. Not Greg. We got Greg already. Steve, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. So I generally would think the Dallas Cowboys would look to have a bounce back after such a pitiful performance against the 49ers. But the way that their players just sound like they don't have a clue of what even happened and how badly they got beaten, It worries me. When you don't even have reality in check, I have to question what you're going to do next week. So the Chargers, they're healthy, they're more focused, and have their head more in a real space that they know what they're looking at. And I guess the Cowboys don't know what they're having or what they're looking at. So they're looking at another loss, and they're going to stub their toe twice in a row. In most general Dallas fashion, where they have the team built to run through the NFC and they find a way to stumble along the way and make it as hard on themselves as possible. Classic Dallas yet again. I got the Chargers winning this one.
Joe, you like your brimming.
He's enjoying every moment of what I said. He's loving it. Joe, you're on mute.
Of course, it's the Chargers. It's gotta be. Come on, man. Really? I mean, I think that with them being healthy, I think when you talk about Bosa and talk about Mack and that pass rush and what they should be able to do, I think and they're playing at home. I think it's just for the Chargers to win, and I think for Dallas, a reality check. Get another week of just constant. Where's this team at? And they do it. I'm sure they'll find a way to blame Dak for this loss again, and it'll be the talking heads on ESPN. Yeah, the talking heads on ESPN will be bashing the Cowboys all week long. But I think for the Chargers, almost more than Dallas, they need this win. And Brandon Staley's seat has been hot since he lost the playoffs game against Jacksonville. They need this win to build confidence, to show that bringing Kellen Moore in as offensive coordinator was the right decision. We talked about Atlanta wasting the talent they have with the three guys they have on offense. With the Chargers, in my opinion, you have a generational quarterback. I think he's that good.
Yes.
And you, of course, he has to get him in between his ears and make the right plays in the field, but you got to put him in a position to make those right plays as well. And you can't waste that kind of talent. So I think for the Chargers, almost more of a must win than it is for Dallas, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm definitely going to go Chargers.
You have all the setups for a Charger win, right? Eckler comes back. They're getting healthier overall across the board, except for Mike Williams, because he's gone for the year. You're not getting him back, right?
Mm-hmm. But they got the rookie out of TCU.
Yeah,
Quentin Johnson.
Yeah. Quentin Johnson. Dallas just lost Van Der Esch. He's going to IR. So you lose one of your.
I didn't even know that. Really?
Yes.
Yep. Neck injury. So that forces the Cowboys to bring Parsons back to the linebacking role. He is not going to be sitting up on the edge.
Not so fast, my friend. They will throw safeties and back linebackers.
Oh yeah.
Solution to keep him exactly where he's been. I don't think they're going to change that. But it looks like we have a clean sweep. No, it doesn't. I'm lone wolfing on this one because you want to know why I'm lone wolfing on this one? Because it is the Chargers, folks. Okay, do we not forget that this coach routinely gives away games? Do we not forget that this is Kellen Moore? Greg, we just talked about Kellen Moore before the show. Okay, yes, it is going to be personal for him. He wants to show him up so much that he will call a reverse in the wrong situation and blow a drive because that's what Kellen Moore does. Okay, as much as I want to sit there and say, yes, Dallas deserves a third loss because they are arrogant. I've seen that arrogance before, but you want to know what? No, it's even more arrogant. The guy that doesn't change, that thinks he knows what he knows and continues to do the same thing. That is Brandon Staley. He's going to go for it on the fourth down and blow a call. He's going to go out there and do something that questionable coaching that always does in a close game. It's going to be a close game. It's not going to be a blowout like San Francisco. San Francisco is a different element. They're a bully.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
right? They're a bully. They're a bully. Dallas doesn't handle bullies, right? Because they punch you straight in the face. Finesse teams, they like to jab at you. Dallas does great against. And guess what LA is? A finesse team that likes to jab at you. So when you put them in there with that jabber, it's going to look like Bone Crusher Smith. Okay, going in the ring. Okay, because what's going to happen is they're going to go in there. It's going to be a thing where they're going to throw some jabs and it's going to look sweet. And then them right hands are going to hit them and they're going to stagger backwards. And it's all of a sudden that last stagger is going to be what knocks them out. Okay, The Chargers are going to do what the Chargers do. And as much as we like to say the Cowboys are going to cowboy, well, the Chargers are going to do what the Chargers always do in the fourth quarter, and they're going to blow this game against Dallas. Dallas will get the win, and it'll make my lone wolf even sweeter when they do it, because plain and simple, it's what I expect from LA and the Chargers, not the Rams. Okay?
This is kind of a classic, not the classic alpha versus alpha, but this is the which team is going to not make the very root expected mistake.
Yeah.
Because they both make the expected mistakes out of nowhere, and these two teams now have to face each other, and it's who's going to not make that mistake. That's who's going to win. And yeah, you brought up that point. The coaching and the fourth downs is going to be the downfall of the Chargers. That I just can't get over how often they screw that idea up. I don't understand the Vikings have no reason to have lost that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saving that video clip. I'm saving that video clip of Jeff going off, because when the Chargers go up by like 20 or 14 points, I'm going to post that myself.
By all means, listen, I said it, so it either makes me look great or it makes me look foolish. And I may get made to look foolish once a week with some of my picks with some of these teams that they're sure locks and they go out there and blow it. But by all means, I will not go all in on the Chargers until they prove me otherwise. They haven't done it.
Makes Justin plays more than Dak does, and that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, and I can beat up on Prescott all I want. You know, part of the problem last week with San Francisco was a total failure. Their defense didn't show up, and that started with the coaching. All right, their offense didn't show up. That started with the coaching, and their special teams didn't show up at all. So, but when it came down to it,
and the one guy who scored the touchdown was injured later on. So there's no Kavonte Turpin anymore. He's out. Yeah. They lost Leighton Vander Esch, etc. But my whole thing was, you're in San Francisco. Why in the hell did you defer the kick? Why in the hell are you giving that Niners offense the ball first?
Yeah.
Get the momentum, get the crowd behind them, all that good stuff. Speaking of out, too, I don't know what the injury is, but Ryan Tannehill just caught off the field, and Malik Willis at quarterback. Not sure what the injury is for Tannehill.
And they're punting around. So much to the chagrin of Titans fans. Oh, by the way, speaking of the draft, you know, they drafted a quarterback, and Malik Willis is in the game.
Yep.
Man, didn't I tell you about that, Titans fans? Didn't I tell you drafted the wrong guy? But you got him when you got him. Okay, rapid fire, because it's time to get into the really bad picks. All right, so unfortunately, Steve, we're going to talk Chicago, Minnesota. Who you got?
All right, I'll try to keep this short. It is the battle of the NFC North's bottom 1-4 teams, along with 4 other teams that are 1-4. It is the battle for the bottom of the NFL. I do see that it's going to be tough for Minnesota to move on without Justin Jefferson, the superstar, the number 1 wide receiver in all of NFL world. But luckily, we do have rookie wide receiver Jordan Addison, who is not Justin Jefferson, but is a bona fide playmaker. We also have TJ Hawkinson, who we're going to have to lean on, and Chicago has been suspect against tight ends this year. So I look for TJ Hawkinson to have a big game. I look for Kirk Cousins to have a big game. And hopefully Jordan Addison continues his rookie phenom sensation, and the Vikings can squeak out a win on the road against the dumpster fire that is Chicago.
Okay. Joe, who you got?
I mean, after what I saw against Washington, I'm going Bears. DJ Moore, Justin Fields, part 2.
Anomaly.
Ooh.
Anomaly.
I'll find that anomaly sometime during today.
Kick the crap out of the Vikings today. I'm sorry, Steve. It is not going to be pretty. Justin Fields, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, even with the fact that their running back is an old guy because their other 3 running backs were hurt last week. Yeah, it's going to be the Bears.
Man, this is a hard one to pick because you have so many things you don't like about either team. I didn't like the way Chicago has operated this whole season, and then all of a sudden they have a great performance. I think the inspiration of Dick Buck has had something to do with that night. Do I trust that consistently? No.
Nope.
Do I trust the Vikings consistently? No. They haven't given you anything to trust this season.
Well, offensively, they've done plenty moving the ball offensively, but they just can't get the turnovers to stop. They can't stop coughing the ball up and stubbing and shooting themselves in the foot.
Which is why you don't trust them.
They have legitimately had chances and opportunities to win. All the Vikings could be 5-0 had they not turned the ball over 18 times.
What I've learned in coaching is there's two things you say at the end of the game. We did it or we could have. When you're saying we could have too often,
you're one like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go. Unfortunately, Steve, you're lone wolfing on this one because
it happens.
Yeah, I also was going with Chicago, and trust me, it's a very shaky pick because trust me, I'm standing on that one with just one toe holding me on the ledge.
1 foot.
Because Chicago, no, not even the whole foot, just the toe. Chicago.
Strong toe.
Yeah, it's like crazy glued to the ledge because that's all it's holding me on.
I think Harrison Smith gives Justin Fields fits today.
Yes, I could believe that. Okay, Arizona Rams.
Yeah. Rams.
Oh, yeah, okay. Stafford will find out well this week. Unlike that miss last week, which cost them.
We're all on the same page on that one. I got the Rams as well. The teacher versus student bowl, New England versus Vegas.
Raiders.
Yeah, if there is anything that has fallen apart worse than Chicago, it is New England. I've got the Raiders. And Bill Belichick might be on a hot seat finally.
I think he might lose the GM title, but they're not going to kick him out as being a coach. Not yet.
Oh, exactly.
They'll make him. They'll force him out as GM. That's about the only thing they'll do.
Mr. Parcells, in 10 seasons as the GM of the organization, has a Pro Bowl punter and a Pro Bowl punt returner, and that's it from the draft. That's it. So his drafting skills leave a lot to be desired. I'm going to say that the Raiders and Josh Jacobs has a huge day. Devontae Adams has a bigger day because there's nothing left on that Patriots defense.
Nope.
The offensive line that the Patriots have is so awful. And why people go after Mac Jones is beyond me. I mean, no, he has nothing in front of him.
It's not.
And he has no receiving. You know, so why are you going after Mac Jones? Go after the guy who's supposed to build a roster in front of your quarterback.
Indeed. So it's a clean sweep. I guess I'm going to Vegas as well. There's nothing left in New England. Just tumbleweed going through. So, 21-13 overseas right now for the Ravens, leading with 5.5.
They're driven now.
First and goal, and they couldn't get a touchdown.
No.
Carolina, Miami.
Oh, is this going to be ugly?
Oh, God. 70 points again, Greg, you think? 70 again? Maybe 55, Greg?
This time they actually go for the record and get to 76. I don't know.
Miami will score at least 42 points.
Miami really helped offense this week. Everybody's playing. It's bad.
Oh, Jalen Waddle? Yeah, watch out. Yeah.
So I'm taking it. All you guys are taking Miami, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly why this was one of the rapid fire ones. I think it would be a clean sweep, and honestly, this is every one of the matchups from here on out are all want to see a dead body matchups because all of these are straight up murder massacres. Okay, Philadelphia, New York Jets.
The New York Jets are going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles for the very first time in their organization's history. Breece Hall's going to run wild. Garrett Wilson's going to catch 2 touchdown passes. I don't care about the 5-0 stuff. I don't care. Oh, I'm sorry.
As you were talking, Greg, the views were popping up like crazy. Delusional Jet fans were like, "This guy's awesome."
What?
Clean sweep again. Yeah, come on, Jeff. Moving on.
This is the.
Well,
I told you, these are the ones
we've all
that
seen
want to see
the
the
video
dead
of
body
Aaron
happen.
Rodgers walking in the locker room, so that air and mystique of an opportunity is going to lift their spirits the way that the Chicago Bears were lifted by Dick
I will not be
Butkus.
duped by Zach Wilson.
No,
ever
I'm
again.
sorry. The Jets are going to get obliterated. Philadelphia in a landslide.
I would not
The
be
only
duped by Zach Wilson
thing
ever
about the Philadelphia Eagles this week is they have to go to that awful stadium where that turf destroys people's careers. So,
So there'll be lots of tush push.
well, yeah, you better be tushing the push and all that other fun stuff because I'm telling you, I don't care what anybody says. MetLife Stadium is a nightmare for your body.
I think we're proving it quite clear that all AstroTurf fields are horrible. Mike Williams and the Vikings field will tell you the same.
San Francisco, Cleveland.
Woo. Beat
Yeah, I told
down.
you, dead
The
body
only hope
action.
Cleveland has, is reports I saw when I was writing my preview article, 35, 40-mile-an-hour winds and rain. They can muck it up and maybe keep it close. I don't think it matters when you got Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. I think San Francisco in a landslide.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say a landslide because the Cleveland defense has still got Mr. Garrett and Smith. And
It won't matter.
Oh, yes, it does. Miles Garrett is the fastest guy off that football. He is the fastest defensive end in football. And when he comes off that right side against McKivitz, look out. Brock Purdy could get banged up in a quick hurry.
And unless he has the ball in his hands, Cleveland still isn't scoring.
Doesn't matter. San Francisco will win the game. I'm just pointing out that the Cleveland defense is still a very real deal.
They will.
Yeah,
they
top
are.
three.
It won't matter this
I think
week,
one of the great attributes of Purdy is his quick release.
Yep.
That release had better be there.
Mr. Irrelevant is proving to be a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins already. On top of Christian McCaffrey is putting up MVP caliber numbers, and he will continue to do so this week.
And he won't win the award, believe it or not.
Running backs don't win that. Running backs don't win the MVP.
They don't give him out like that.
Wide receivers and running backs no longer matter in the MVP race.
They need to make a separate award.
The last one, Sunday Night Football. People were begging for it to be flexed. It wasn't.
I forgot. Oh, yeah. I forgot this. Didn't even pay attention. That's how irrelevant this game was.
The Giants with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback will go to Buffalo to play his former team.
Golly.
That's nice.
With his former coach. Right?
Former coach.
Dable's going back to Buffalo as well.
So it's a family reunion, and they'll have a picnic, on the table before they smash it.
Saquon Barkley going to play? No.
I think it's a game time decision. He's already listed out.
I believe he's
out.
I believe he's out.
Ooh.
I say Bills by 24.
No Saquon, no Daniel Jones, no Azeez Ojulari, no left tackle, no left guard.
Yeah.
There's a whole list of no's for the Giants. So you know what? No win either.
Yeah, no win either. That's exactly right.
Let's I'm gonna update my Netflix list after this show then to make sure I'm ready to go.
And the Giants are in the running to be the worst team in the league. I'm
Caleb
sorry.
Williams?
No.
Maybe.
No. They won't go Caleb Williams.
Yeah, they got too much money tied up to Daniel Jones already. You're right, Greg.
They could very well take Drake May.
And still have Daniel Jones, all that money tied up still?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Drake May will be cheap.
They need a real wide receiver, and they need more defense.
You'll be
No, I think they might get the tackle from Penn State. They don't go quarterback. If they get like a top 5 draft pick, they'll get the O-line from Penn State, or like you guys said, they'll go quarterback.
Protect
I
it.
don't dare another. I don't dare to claim another NFL draft like you two do. I learned the day of. I was impressed. I'm just impressed. I know the offensive lineman from Penn State, but if they don't go,
Can you say his name though? Can you say his name?
Hell no.
Yeah,
Fianashu.
Gesundheit.
What you said.
Yeah. And one of the funny part is they've done so much to try to fix that line. The 2 tackles back-to-back years. The center last year, John Michael Schmitz hurt. Andrew's hurt. Okay. And the 2 guards that still stink. All right. So yeah. And they signed a guard a couple of years ago. Remember how that went? Yeah. So they just have no luck on the offensive line. I just feel
they tried to sign the remains of our offensive line from Minnesota.
Yeah, they tried. Yeah, they did. They've thrown a lot at that situation. You know,
John Harbaugh
hitting the wall, hoping it sticks.
Yeah, Harbaugh is
bad coaching decision here. 4th and inches. Why not go for it? He's still cooking field goals. I don't understand.
Yeah. Let's just go up by 11, and you got the best kicker in football.
I mean, he made it, but I would have gone for it. That's just
actually he's not. He's not actually the best kicker percentage-wise. It's the kid in Atlanta who is
Younghoe Koo.
Younghoe Koo, that's right. Who has the percentage battle over Justin Tucker now.
All right. And speaking of over, it's time for us to be over. So
all right.
Once again, amazing show, guys. We went a little extra for you, making sure we got all those picks in. Although some of them were pretty easy. I mean, so easy a caveman can do it. With some of those picks that are coming this week. Make sure you tune in next week. Once again, we're back with the last word, followed by moving the chains. There'll be a lot prettier person in this seat next week. Well, not particularly in this seat, but in the host chair. Although I'm quite vain and say I'm pretty, I'm just saying. Don't compliment.
I thought we were getting picks from Ashmere live from the beach. What happened to that? I'm gonna have to ask.
Listen, man, you never interrupt anybody.
Those umbrella drinks got in the way of the.
You never interrupt anybody on the beach, like you never pick against the family, Joe. Just remember that, all right?
Hey, I did the same thing as Joe did this week.
My family. It shows journalistic integrity. That's what it shows.
I try.
But
I almost went with Chicago, but they just have so many issues in and out of their locker room, their facility, their franchise, their management, their players, their coaches. I couldn't pick them.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. Not at all. But it's time for us to go. Thanks for watching, everybody. We hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next week. Enjoy this week's NFL action. We'll be back. Take care.